It's tutorial time, and today I'm bringing you guys the 10 players that you should be scouting in your Inazuma 11 1 game. So let's do this. Tutorial XM style. What's up everyone, and welcome to today's video. Now, today I am showing you guys the top 10 players you should be bringing into your Inazuma 11 1 game. The players you should be scouting. We have 5 for the story, we have 5 for the post game, and you guys will get to see all these cool players. Now, I am not smart enough to know what players you guys should be using, which is why I've teamed up with ShadowAK, who is a very smart Inazuma 11 player. He knows everything about Inazuma 11, and I asked him, what players should people be scouting? And he gave me a list. A pretty big, informative list that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. So without further ado, here are 5 players you should be using in the story of Inazuma 11 1. We have our 5 scouts. Number 5 is Frank Drake. Frank Drake is a wing defender and probably the most obscure character on today's video, because if we're being honest, I had no idea who the hell he was until Shadow said his name to me. Now, this guy, I have his information up on my phone so I can seem smart. He is Flurry Dash, Spinning Cut, After Image, and Blade Attack, which is, for Inazuma 11 1, a pretty good move pool. And not only does he look cool, but you can get him early on in Chapter 3 at the station, and that's kind of what you want from a player in Inazuma 11 1. Get them early, they have decent moves considering the game, because let's be honest, Inazuma 11 1 doesn't have a lot of good moves, but he does have some cool moves, and, you know, he's a defender. He's better than, like, Todd and Jim. So add him to your teams. Speaking of players you can get super early on, we have Shadow. Now, I may not particularly like Shadow, but Shadow is definitely accessible early on. The guy has Shadow Stitch from the get-go, basically, which is a really good blocking move. You can get him super early on, basically as soon as you can scout. And he also gets, like, Dark Tornado down the road. So not only is he good defensively, but he's also good offensively. He levels up slow, though, however, so you're going to have to get used to that. But if you can ignore the fact that he levels up very, very slow, then you have an amazing player on your hands. Number 3 is a double pairing. We have Peter Drent or Ben Simmons. These are 2 players from Royal Academy. Now, you can't get them too early on. It's the second half you get them. But they are really good. They have very strong blocks, very strong dribbles, which for Inazuma 11 1 is pretty hard to come by. So, if you need some just cheeky defenders to slap onto your team, get these lads. The Royal Academy team turns out pretty good. Number 2 is another double billing. We have Nev Erin or Bolt Decker. These are both scouts you can get very, very early on. They have cheap spammable dribbles and blocks, so that's always good, as having those cheap, easy to use dribbles and blocks. Those are the main moves that populate Inazuma 11 1, and these players have them, which is always quite nice, but they're also quite good with them. And they also have shots. They have Dynamite Shot on Bolt Decker and Cross Drive on Nev Erin, which is quite handy, it turns out, for scoring goals. You know, that thing you like to do in the game. They're both available on the first page of the connection map as well, which makes them extremely accessible early on, which is very handy for the story. And finally, the player that you should be scouting in Inazuma 11 1 the story the most is another Royal Academy player, to no one's surprise, who you get in the second half of the game. David Samford. He has great stats, he has great TP, he has great moves because he has, like, Emperor Penguin number 2 and a Clone Faker, really good dribble, really good shoot. That is quite hard to come by, to be honest. It's just unfortunate that you get him so late. But aside from that, man is basically perfect. Get him on your teams. He also has an eye patch. You know who else has eye patches? Pirates. You know what else is cool? Pirates. So get him, yeah. But what about the post game? You want to do some of the competition routes in Inazuma 11 1, like all 2 of them, and you're wondering who do you scout for that? Well, here you go. Now, number 5 is just kind of general. It's anyone from Zeus other than the reserves, Poseidon and Aphrodite. Just any of the on-field players you can get from Zeus. Turns out they're pretty good. They have good stats, good moves, because the Zeus moves are really good, and what would you know, they're good. Number 4 is any player with access to a very strong move. Now, this may seem super general, but it's mostly just to bring you alert to the fact that there are some cool players out there with particular hidden gem moves. Joe Small has access to Harvest and Whirlwind Cut. So just kind of that level of, there are some cool players out there with very cool individual moves. Number 3 is Shadow's making his return to say that Shadow's really cool and you should use him. But also Demeter, I know we already had a Zeus thing, but Demeter, he's awesome and he fulfills a similar role to Shadow. Just obviously you get him a lot later on. Number 2, again we're bringing David Samford back, but also at the same time Marvin Murdoch, who again fills a very similar role, except I wouldn't use him for the story because you get him so late. Shadow made sure to say that Samford is better just because you can use him in the story and so you get levels on him, but in the long run Marvin Murdoch will be better because he gets Boost Glider, which is a better dribble. But the main thing to note is they both get access to a 55+ TP shooting move, which it turns out is pretty strong. Emperor Penguin number 2 versus Triangle Z. They're good moves. And finally, the best player, arguably, in Inazuma 11-1. I just slapped my knee, if you're wondering what the hell that was. It was like, it meant to be a drum roll. It was a pretty shit drum roll. But it is Mark Hill Valley from Farm. Turns out Farm, having the best defense, has the best defense and has the best defender. Mark Hill Valley has the best block in the game, the best dribble in the game, and the best catch in the game. And he's pretty darn good. Now, he can't be get too early, but you get him obviously after the farm match. And he doesn't have a ton of TP, but you can just train it up in the training facility. So there's not really any big drawbacks to this guy in the grand scheme of the post-game. He is really good, and probably the best player in the game. Would definitely recommend you sign him if you haven't already for your Inazuma 11-1 team. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and massive shout out to ShadowAK for helping me with the information for today's video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'm definitely going to be doing more videos like this one in particular for all the other Inazuma 11 games. For all the other Inazuma 11 games. I'll see you guys then, but for now, bye.